Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to come at you with my Bond Girls rankings. So I wanted to do this while everything's still fresh. I just finished my Bond marathon. I did my Bond movie rankings, which I don't think have been uploaded to the channel as of me recording this. They're being edited right now. But I wanted to do the Bond girl rankings, and then the next video I'm going to record right after this one is my Bond villains rankings. So hold on for that. But for this one, so we have a few caveats. There's two movies that kind of throw a wrench into everything. One of them being Skyfall, in the sense of the female that gets the most screen time is actually M. I'm not counting her as a Bond girl. I know some people do that, but for me, I'm not doing that. So there's one other girl that's you could consider the Bond girl, in my opinion. That's not a recurring character. So we'll get to her. And then for No Time to Die, the problem is that as we all know, Madeline Swan returns for that movie. I'm basically going to include Madeline Swan as her own character and rank her, but I'm going to throw in someone else from No Time to Die basically for that film, even though a lot of what I'm giving credit for Madeline Swan is from No Time to Die, of why I like her or don't like her. But the problem is, like, Spectre, we don't really, if it's not Madeline Swan, we don't really get anybody else. There's Monica Bellucci, which she's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she's in the movie for like 5 minutes, so I'm not going to count her. But anyway, aside from those caveats, and we'll get there, this is just going to be a strict rankings based off of... Now, a lot of people do this sometimes based off hotness. I mean, that's going to play a part in it. How attracted... I don't mean like just physical attraction. I just mean like a magnet, that girl sucks me in, where I'm like, okay, you have my attention. I'm interested in your character. And that could be, like I said, part of its beauty, and then the other part of it is the acting or just the character of how I felt. Because there's some of these girls that someone might say, oh, they're not great actors. But for me, I'm like, well, they sold whatever I bought, whatever they were selling, is I guess all I can say. All right, well, let's just get to it. So number 25, so this is worst to best. Number 25, and this is similar to my Bond movie rankings, I guess. But A View to a Kill, dead last, Stacey Sutton. I honestly forget that she's even there. That's just, for me, the worst thing you can be is like forgettable. There's some, girls that I would say have been Bond girls that aren't the greatest, but for me, she's just forgettable. If I saw her, and I'm talking about if I was living around 1985 and I was walking in the street and I saw the girl that the actress that played Stacey Sutton, I'm not going to be like, oh, that girl's ugly. No, of course not. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're the girl from the Bond movie. I'd be like, just looks like another pretty face. I wouldn't even remember who she is. So, like I said, A View to a Kill, I only watched it a few days ago, but it basically has been all but washed from my memory. Okay, on to the next one. Number 24, Kissy Suzuki from You Only Live Twice. And I love You Only Live Twice as a movie. If there's one flaw, and it's not, I want to be clear, it's not really her fault, the actress, because English wasn't, she might have been dubbed. I don't even know if that's her actual voice. But she's trying. It's just not really her fault, because like they need her to speak English and they don't really give her a whole lot to do. I always kind of consider You Only Live Twice maybe the weakest of the Bond girl films, just because for Bond girls, because they don't really give us much. It's like we get Kissy, he kind of marries her, but I don't know. For me, and she's not an unattractive girl. She's a pretty girl. It's just that we don't get much. That's I guess all I can say is, it's kind of like once that marriage thing happens, we kind of hang out for a little bit, and then it's like onto the volcano, and that's it. Okay, the next one for me, number 23, and this is going to be controversial because I know some people have her like top 5, top 10. Anya Amasova, I think is how you pronounce her name, from The Spy Who Loved Me. I've said, I did my Bond movie rankings. I feel like she's a Terminator in this movie, and I don't mean like in a badass way. I mean like, I don't buy that, like, her acting's terrible, in my opinion. Everything is looking like this, wide-eyed, and she's not doing it on purpose. I think that's just literally how she thinks she was supposed to act. And yeah, I didn't buy the romance. I also don't like where people are like, she's an awesome spy. Okay, but like, why is she turning around a corner and then she's like got her hands like this? I know it was 1977. I get it. People didn't have any idea about fighting, but I'm gonna promise you right now that if that chick tried to do a karate chop on a grown man, he would be like, awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna kill you. So for me, her fighting style doesn't work. Her being a threat really doesn't work. And she doesn't even do anything in the movie. She gets tied up at the end. So she's not even the badass that the movie tries to make her out to be, and some fans make her out to be. And another thing, I just want to make it clear. I'm not dogging any of these girls as far as me saying, oh, they're not pretty at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you compare them to the rest of the Bond girls, I don't find this girl attractive like on these other girls' level. That's just my opinion. So the girl from The Spy Who Loved Me, not my jam. I don't find her all that pretty. I don't find her interesting. I don't feel like I never bought the romance. She has one cool spy thing where she like blows the smoke in his face and makes him pass out. Aside from that, I didn't really care for her character. So, I mean, she brings up that like his wife is dead. That's like, okay, touche. And as he says, he's like touche. But that's about it. I don't care for her character at all. So for that one's controversial, and I get it. All right, on to the next one. Number 22, from The Man with the Golden Gun, Mary Goodnight. Mary Goodnight, I at least like, when I watched it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I at least had some laughs in a sense of like you can kind of chuckle at what she's doing sometimes. She's goofy and a klutz. She's forgettable, but she's at least like, she doesn't ruin the movie for me or make me go like, I really don't like her character. She's just like, oh, okay, Mary Goodnight, fine. I'm just neutral towards her. But yeah, they didn't really give her much to do. They could have maybe made that character better, but Man with the Golden Gun, I think it's just more focused on Christopher Lee as a villain, and we don't really get anything with the Bond girl at all. Okay, number 21, The World Is Not Enough, Dr. Christmas Jones. So the reason I didn't put her dead last is because I'm like, Denise Richards, at least like she accomplishes something. She's trying to disarm the bomb. She has some nuclear expertise. Whether that's believable or not, it's another story, but at least she has a purpose of being in the film. Denise Richards is beautiful to look at. Denise Richards, I'm trying to explain exactly like her looks. She's obviously beautiful. I'm not saying she's not. But to me, she doesn't look exotic. And so there's other girls on this list that I'm just like, you're either more beautiful, look like you're sculpted a certain way. I mean like there's certain actresses that you look at and you're like, you were born to be a fucking model. Denise Richards, I don't look at her like that, but that's not a knock on her. I'm just saying she doesn't look like she was sculpted by a god. She just looks like, you're a very pretty girl and you got into acting, and that's good for you. And any guy would be happy to get a girl that looks as great as Denise Richards, so I'm not trying to dog her. But yeah, part of it is her acting. She's not really given a whole lot to do, and she doesn't really do a whole lot with even what she's given. But like I said, I don't find her annoying when I watch The World Is Not Enough. And my favorite part is probably when they're in the pipeline and James is like working with her but telling her like, just let it blow, just let it go. Anyway, so that's it for that one. And on to the next one. Number 20, I got Tiffany Case, Diamonds Are Forever. I also find her kind of forgettable. I did not dislike her performance or anything like that, but she's not one of the Bond girls. I don't think anyone would think of her as a strong candidate for one of like James Bond's best lovers. I just would never think of her that way. She's kind of, she's working for the bad guys, kind of, and then James kind of gets her on his side at the end. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about her. Like I said, I watched Diamonds Are Forever a few weeks back, and once again, I just found her kind of forgettable. She's got a nice body, but I didn't find her all that memorable. Her hair's kind of weird. I know she swaps out her hairdo a few times. Okay. The rest of these should be like girls that I'm like, I know them, I'm familiar with them. It's just how I want to rank them. All right, number 19, I got Jinx from Die Another Day. So the reason I'm going to go with Jinx here is growing up, I watched Die Another Day a lot, and I thought Halle Berry was like a smoking hot Bond girl. And don't get me wrong, she's beautiful. I just don't feel like her dialogue, it just comes off way too cheesy, like where she's trying to do like one-liners the same way James Bond does, and it just seems kind of weird. So for that reason, I don't think the dynamic works. I never really bought her and Pierce Brosnan's romance. That never felt authentic to me. And yeah, but her being a spy, I said in my last video, which hasn't been uploaded yet, but I said in my last video, if you would have taken Jinx's character and put her into The Spy Who Loved Me to fit that storyline, I think I would have liked that movie more, and I think it would work better. Because to me, she totally works as a spy, a female spy that has like, some banter, and she can have a good time, and she's not taking things too seriously, which all I like. But I never really bought the romance, so for me, that doesn't really work. Okay, the next one, number 18, And I just want to make this clear. For this one, if she would have got more screen time, she'd be way higher up there, but I had to pick someone. For No Time to Die, because I've already established, I'm using Madeline Swan from Spectre in the sense of that's where she was introduced, and she is the female with the most screen time in that one. I just didn't want to use her twice, so for each movie, I wanted to pick a different girl. So for that reason, I'm going to go Paloma, No Time to Die. Now, she's only really in the movie for like 20 minutes, but she's great in what she's in, and I would have loved her to get more screen time. Honestly, I know they wouldn't have done this, but I would have liked it a lot more if the Nomi character, if they just would have been like, that's Paloma, but she still has the same personality, and she's like, I'm just having the time of my life, like this is fun and new to me. I think the No Time to Die would do a pick me up and be so much better. And after watching No Time to Die again, I actually don't mind. I think it's Naomi, but maybe I'm wrong. Nomi's character. I don't mind her. The girl that is the new 007. I didn't really mind her as much the second time because I was like, I kind of get what they were setting up, and then they kind of pay homage to and give James his respect. But Paloma I think is great. Like I said, I mean, I heard she's getting her own like special TV show, or maybe no, she's getting her own movie. I think like kind of like John Wick. I'm down with that. She's I think it's called like The Ballerina or something like that, but. She's a beautiful girl, and she's got like this the it factor. Like her smile, you're just like, I want to see what that girl does, and she's like I said, she's pretty as hell. But yeah, her character is great. If I got something like that, it feels kind of wasted that we only got her for 20 minutes as opposed to like getting her for an hour. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind the Madeline Swan being brought back. I just think there might have been a way where you could have Paloma in there as kind of a foil, where James is like, I love Madeline, but there's this other girl. I would have maybe liked that a little bit more. Okay, on to the next one. So number 17, Severine from Skyfall. So once again, she doesn't get much screen time, and in Skyfall, M has the most screen time for a female, but I'm not going to go with M because she's not a love interest. So I'm going to go with Severine. And once again, this is me putting her at 17 is not really a knock. If she was in the movie more, she probably makes my top 10 because she's very dark and mysterious. Once again, I would have liked to see her in the film more. If they would have introduced her earlier on into the film and then kept her around and didn't kill her off till later, I would have liked that. I think Skyfall, as great as it is, I still think it could have been so much better. If you keep Severine around and she's alive towards like the climax of the movie, and instead of James being the one that's like, we led him away, he has to come to us, I would have liked it a lot more if it was like vice versa. We got to go to Silva's place, and if Silva knew that James cared about the girl, and basically that scene where he shoots the girl, like does the shooting competition, I think you could have saved that for the climax of the film, or like, the last 20 minutes, and basically where she dies, but we get more screen time with her. I would have liked that a lot more. So, number 17, Severine from Skyfall. Once again, that actress, she did a really good job playing dark and mysterious, and once again, it's like, this girl, you're like, is she evil? It's like, no, she's not evil. Like, she's just really hurt, really cautious, and she doesn't, like, she hangs around with some bad people, but she's like, yeah, if you want to try and save me, go for it, but it's not going to be easy for you. Okay, number 16, I got Domino from Thunderball. And I just want to make it clear, and everyone said this, the girl that plays Domino, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And I know she's passed away now, I looked it up. She was so beautiful. The problem I have with Domino is not the girl that was cast. I honestly thought her acting was fine. I didn't get enough of her. I would have liked more screen time with her because honestly, I just watched Thunderball, a couple weeks ago, and I still feel like I don't really know who Domino is as a character. I know she had a brother that died, but I would have liked to know more about that character. I've never actually watched all the way through Never Say Never Again. I started it and got through 5 minutes and hated it. So maybe that explains to me more about the character of Domino, but as far as like the girl that played her in Thunderball, her portrayal, I don't know. I would have liked to see that girl in a different movie because if she was playing like Honey Rider in Dr. No, she might be like top 3, top 5 Bond girl for me because like I said, her beauty is like hard to match that. Okay, on to the next one. Number 15, I got Camille from Quantum of Solace. Now, the other girls that I mentioned before are either I didn't like their performance, didn't like their look, or didn't buy their, the love that they were supposed to have with James. All those other girls kind of had a flaw, and then the last couple were, like Domino, like I said, it's nothing on her. I just felt like I didn't get to know that character. And then the previous two girls, they were only in the movie for like 20 minutes. So it was like, I didn't give them like a full performance review. This is like the first one where I don't dislike anything about her character. I don't dislike her performance. And we got a full movie with her. So yeah, Camille from Quantum of Solace. I respect the fact that they didn't go for like the love angle that, only at the end, these two broken characters that are searching for revenge and trying to fix themselves, only at the end do we get like some affection, like a kiss, which I think James initiates the kiss. But that was good. I like the way that was written. All I'm saying is that Camille, I would have liked to see her again. To be honest, I think they could have brought her back, either in Spectre or No Time to Die. I'm not saying like she has to like be his love interest again, but I kind of would have liked if she came back and they had like a bit of a fling again or something. I don't know. That would have been interesting. But yeah, like I said, I don't dislike her performance. She has a few times where she's like acting drunk where I just was like, I don't know, she's annoying me. But aside from that, I thought the girl that did her did a pretty fine job. She just ranks in the middle for me. She's just like not great, but not bad. All right, number 14. I got Octopussy from Octopussy. A lot of people rank Maud Adams with Octopussy. They rank her really high. And for me, I get that, she kind of seems like the best match for Roger Moore. We don't get introduced to her right away. We have to, they build that up. And then for me, her character wasn't so interesting where I was like, yeah, I'll never forget her. She's got a distinct look. She's got the octopus thing going on. That's fine. She's a good Bond girl to me, but it's kind of weird because she's kind of a bad guy at first, and then you figure out, well, she's not really bad. She just likes, I think she steals diamonds if I remember correctly. So yeah, I don't love her as much as everybody else, I guess is what I'll say. All right, on to the next one. Number 13, I got Honey Rider from Dr. No. Ursula Andrews, she's beautiful, but we don't get her real voice in Dr. No. That's one thing. And two, I don't think there's the earlier Bond films, I don't really feel like they're interested in us getting to know really any of these Bond girls, almost all of them. And for Honey Rider, all I know is I think she said her dad died on the island, and now she's coming back to get shells, but she's kind of going for revenge. That's kind of the only thing we have with her character. I do like that when she's in peril, she becomes way more attached to James out of one, necessity, but two, I think she's like, okay, he actually defended me when these guys were trying to take me, so yeah, I'm gonna be with this guy. But she's beautiful. It's just I like a girl that's beautiful but also has the personality that I'm like, wow, I really could fall for her. All right, number 12, I got Pussy Galore from Goldfinger. The reason I put her above Honey Rider is because she has more personality. I don't think she's necessarily more beautiful than Honey Rider, but I liked her, and watching Goldfinger the other night, I just kind of enjoyed her character more, that she's playing hard to get, and then finally when she's like, okay, the boss said I'm off company time, I can do whatever I want, now I'll mess around with you a little bit. And I do like that she did actually end up having a heart, and she was like, no, he wanted to kill all these people, I'm not going to do that. And yeah, and her and James go off. I mean, I don't know, I like her, I think she's solid, she's just not one of my top favorites. All right, number 11, I did not think this character would rank this highly, but the bottom line is, I think I prefer a Bond girl that's more naive and a regular person than super spy, pilot, special something, agent. I'm usually not really into those kind of Bond girls. I prefer just a regular chick that gets caught up in whatever James's mission is. So number 11, I got Cara Malovi from The Living Daylights, which that's not a Bond film that I'm really all that fond of. But when I think of Cara, I said Cara, but Cara, she just innocent girl. She was trying to help out her boyfriend at the time, but yeah, I just like her innocence, but she's nothing spectacular for me, but once again, fine. I know some people really, really like her. As far as beauty-wise, I think she's, once again, all these girls, if this one of these girls was your girlfriend, you're there's no complaints, you hit the jackpot, but she's not one of the girls I'm most attracted to, but obviously I do think she's pretty. But once again, I didn't really get to know everything about that character. I just knew she was really innocent and kind of naive. All she wanted to do was play, her cello, with the orchestra or, whatever. Okay, number 10, we've made it to the top 10. My number 10 Bond girl is Tatiana from, I forgot her last name, but Tatiana from Russia with Love. what I mean, he says it in the movie. He goes, "You're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen." She is one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. I mean, she was an Italian actress. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I think she actually is, but yeah, she was dynamite. I mean, my only complaint with her from the movie is just that I don't feel like we got like she actually, even though she's introduced at the beginning, we don't really get back with her until like halfway through the movie, which to me, I'm like, I would have liked to have her with James earlier than that because she does have a great look, and like I said, I do think she is one of the most beautiful girls. I do like how she's woven into the plot, that it's revolved around this girl that is like baiting you know, Spectre's using her as bait basically for James. But yeah, I just still, once again, I think it's with the earlier Bond girls where all their performances are kind of wooden, and we don't. It's like more classic that 60s 50s acting. We don't really get more of like the personality until like later on. So for me, I feel like if From Russia with Love, same actress, same actors, everything was just made like today, that character would be a lot more interesting because they'd be like, yeah, let's go deeper into like who she actually is. Okay, number 9. I got Wei Lin from Tomorrow Never Dies. The only reason she's not higher is just because her and James kind of have they don't really romance each other up until the very end. And that's because basically James saved her life, and she's like, can't deny that. Because I said it before, I do believe that's true, that if someone saves your life and they're a person that you're attracted to, like the opposite sex, I do think it's going to, I don't know, maybe for a guy, I don't know. I think if a girl saves your life, it'd be pretty sexy, but I think for women, it's a lot more. If a guy saves your life, if you were thinking like maybe I won't give him a chance, it makes you reconsider. So I think she was like kind of playing hard to get and was like, nah, like this is just business. And then towards the end of the film, she was like, screw it. Like, yeah, who am I kidding? And yeah, I think she's the best that I've seen as far as secret agent kind of, spy tandem with Bond. She's the best pairing that I've seen because she's believable as that, for one, and two, she never comes across because I'm a guy, so for me, I do get tired of I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man. She never came across as that. She didn't have to say it. She just did her thing, and that was it. And she had a few moments where she told James, like when she flipped around on the bike and she was like, "Don't get any ideas." And he was like, "I wouldn't dream of it." That's good writing where you basically are like playing with that she's saying like, "Hey, like I'm not here to like fool around with you." But it's done in like a really clever, sexy way, I thought, where I think she's still being playful, and that's what I liked about her character. But yeah, she's good, and she does her job, and she's easy on the eyes. Michelle Yeoh's a very pretty girl, in my opinion. But yeah, I got her number 9. Number 8, love the name, Holly Goodhead from Moonraker. A woman. You're very perceptive. Watching Moonraker again, I really was like, she's just a fun Bond girl. I don't think, obviously there's no deep love connection, I think, between these two, but I just think they have a general, like, okay, like, I help you out, you help me out, we get along together, like, there's some attraction there, let's do it. And yeah, I liked her performance in Moonraker, I really did. Her being like undercover CIA, because at first when it was like she's the doctor, I was like, okay. And it was kind of come off as maybe Christmas Jones, but when she comes off as like, I'm actually CIA undercover trying to investigate Drax, I liked it a lot more. I like how they kept running into each other. And yeah, I don't know. I like Holly. I think she's the epitome to me of like just solid Bond girl. Just she's solid. I got no complaints. She's easy on the eyes. All right, number 7. This one probably still going to be too low for a lot of people's liking, but I don't really care. I got Tracy from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And don't get me wrong, she's the best part of that movie. She really is. Diana Rigg did a great job. There's still some things about their romance where and people have made the point that they kind of fall in love in a montage, which is a little weird to me. But yeah, she does a great job. I think she's really, and I say charming like for a woman, but she is really charming. Her personality's like, it's like a magnet, just sucks you in where you're like, yeah, I want to know more about this girl. But still, she's in a film that I don't care for, and for me, that might bring her down a little bit. I'm not trying to do that with all these Bond girls, but for me, she's not as memorable as the girls that are above her. All right, number 6, I got Natalia from GoldenEye. She was basically my first Bond girl that I ever got introduced to her, and I think the only reason she doesn't rank higher is because the girls above her, I buy their love with James a little bit more, or I like something about them a little bit more. But she's great. I love that they picked her to be a computer hacker. It's the perfect, like, James Bond can't really hack all these computers, but she can. Cool. I love where she shows up to that computer retail store or whatever, and the guy was like, kind of brushing her off, and she's like, I need 26 modems for this, blah, 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 blah. And she's basically acting like she's a teacher at a school. And he's like, okay, like, all right, yeah, you want this room for a demonstration? She's like, yeah. I liked that they gave her that. I also like the look that she has a look on her face that she does that's like really sexy that she gives James. And then when she hacks in and like puts a barrier, I guess, where Boris can't access the satellite, and he's like, she changed the access codes, and they just pan to her, and she just has the smirk on her face. It's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. I like Natalia a lot. I think she plays at the beginning, she's distressed, she's scared, all that kind of stuff, and eventually she kind of grows into her own as like a girl that's down to go on an adventure with James. And I do really like at the end when he picks her up, and she's like, I'm not getting on a like plane or helicopter with you. He's like, darling, he's like, what could go wrong? Like after all they've been through, because they had to eject out of a helicopter and then they crashed a plane together. So I liked her humor, and she felt like a real person to me. So that's another reason why I liked her a lot. All right, number 5, I got Madeline Swan, and I'm saying from Spectre because that's when she was introduced, but it's mostly from her No Time to Die performance, Madeline Swan. So in Spectre, I get the whole, we introduce, like, go to Mr. White, and then he's got a daughter, that's who he's protecting, and then that's who James goes after and who he falls in love with. I kind of like at the end of Spectre where she's like, James, I know where this leads, like, I know you're back into this. She's like, I don't want to live this life, so she's like, see you later. And then obviously she gets kidnapped, he comes back, saves her life, and then I think at that point she was like, this guy saved my life multiple times, like, I'm not going to go away from him. But if you would have told someone, I think at the end of Spectre, that this girl is going to be the girl that is like James Bond's great love, I think most people would have been like, really? This girl? Because if I'm just rating her Spectre performance, she probably would have been like middle of the pack, like maybe like 12, 13 for me. Excuse me. But her with this, once I got No Time to Die, it's not even that they have a lot of great moments, because honestly, once the kid gets introduced, that's not the part of their romance that I care for, or their relationship that I care for. 2 of my favorite moments. 3. When they're in the hotel room at the beginning, and she's like writing a little note, and he's like, I think she asks about Vesper or something, and he's like, well, what about your secrets? And she's like, I'll tell you, like, tomorrow or something like that. Or she's like, we'll talk about it. I like that. Because her walking around, and like, I'm pretty sure she has like a t-shirt on and like just underwear. She's really sexy. So I like that moment. The other moment at the very beginning is when he, feels like she betrayed him, and he puts her on a train, or they do a hug first, and it's basically like, I don't even know if he really hugs her. She hugs him, but he kind of just stands there, and he puts her on a train. And the acting that she does, like looking horrified and scared and heartbroken all at the same time while staring at him, like while the train's going, really good job. And for me, if you can make me feel some emotion as a Bond girl, it's like, then that's going to put you up there. And for me, that's like, you made me feel something. I actually bought that you guys were, it might be at that point, it might have been a summer love, but still, it's like that. I view that as kind of like a high school love thing, where it's like, you fall for someone, it probably happened too quick, you probably weren't thinking straight, but still, it still hurts even when it doesn't work out that well. And then the moment that I really got to give credit to both of them and why I really bought it is when they come back and they're going to interview Blofeld, and she's like his psychiatrist, and James walks in, and he's like, Miss Swan, and he's trying to be as professional and pretend it doesn't bother him. And she doesn't even shake his hand. I don't even think she says anything back to him. I don't think she looks at him, but it hurts her. And it hurts him, obviously. That was well done. And I said this in my Spectre review. I said, that shows you something. I know No Time to Die is not a great movie to me, but the fact of, I was more interested of what the reaction was going to be with those two seeing each other again than I was about Blofeld and what was going to go on with that. So for me, it's like, you actually had me buying their romance, so I got to give them credit for that. I still don't like the kid being introduced. Never did anything for me, for James. I just don't think... I don't know. The way they did it, it's not my jam. I don't know. Okay, so these top 4 are like... They're like in a league of their own. So number 4, I got Melina from For Your Eyes Only. Now, I like For Your Eyes Only, I think maybe slightly more than a lot of other people. And when I think of For Your Eyes Only, I don't think of Kristatos. I don't think of even really Roger Moore. I think of Melina. Melina is the first thing I think of. I think of her eyes. So she's one of the most beautiful women that I think has ever played a Bond girl. And she's great. Like, I buy the reason why she's doing what she's doing. Her parents get murdered. She wants revenge. But she's smart about what she's doing. She gets James to help. And I like the intro where, like, she saves him in that little backyard party where he's kind of taken, like, captive. She saves him because she, like, spears a guy. And anyway, they're getting into her car. And James finally, gets done evading all the guys that were coming after him. And then he's like, oh, by the way, we weren't properly introduced. My name is Bond, James Bond. I actually like that intro a lot, that they're kind of being polite with each other. And then I like later on where Melina is basically wanting to, be active and like, I want to do something. And James is like, Melina, just let me try and take care of it. Like, and then we can come back to the hotel and talk about it and we can form a game plan or whatever. But just, this is dangerous stuff. Let me do it. I'll take care of it. This is my regular thing. And she's like, okay, I'll listen to you. And I like that. She's very reasonable about that. I really bought it when they were about to go into the water with the sharks. I really bought it where she's like, James, I didn't think it would end like this. And he's like, we're not dead yet. Like, basically telling her, like, have a little hope. She looks sexy as hell wearing, like, her shirt and, like, I don't know, she doesn't really have any bottoms on. Or if she does, they're, like, the swimming suit bottoms, a bikini. She's beautiful. And yeah. One of my favorite Bond girls. Like I said, her motivations was real. I felt like she was a help. She wasn't annoying. She wasn't like giving him a bunch of unwanted crap. So I really like that about her. And yeah, she's one of my favorites. All right. Number 3, this might be controversial to some people. I got Vesper from Casino Royale. There's nothing wrong with Vesper's character. The only reason she doesn't rank and get to my top 2 is because I like those other girls just a little bit more. So Vesper, she has her own theme. And, like, that's, to me, anytime I hear the Vesper theme, I'm just, like, amazed. I'm like, this is fantastic. Because it makes you feel something every time. And I did not expect it in No Time to Die. I didn't think we were going to get that theme ever again. But when he goes to her grave and we get the Vesper thing and he was like, I miss you. That was just great stuff. I mean, it just was. And, like, this character, it's just crazy to look at that tombstone. It was, like, from 2006 when she died. It's, like, 2006, at the time, No Time to Die, it's like, that's been 15 years. I'm like, that's crazy. So, Vesper, I think, honestly, in Casino Royale, earlier on, she's not all that impactful. Like, she has some good, like, witty dialogue back with him. And she's obviously she's no easy task. Like, she's not just like fawning over James. But he earns her in the sense of, like, earns her respect, her love, all that kind of stuff. And towards the end, you really do buy it where he's like, yeah, he's like, I've fallen for you enough that I'm willing to quit my job and, like, sail around the world with you. And he's like, but you're the one that's going to have to find a regular job because I don't know what a regular job is. All that was really good writing. And then when she betrays him, obviously it hurts her because she, has fallen in love with James. And for James, that's what makes it so much more, I think, real and a bittersweet ending to that movie is just because, this woman that you probably fell the most in love with ended up betraying you. Like, that's probably his greatest love, and she betrayed him. So, all works great. Vesper's great, and like I said, that's why she gets referenced in, I think, everything but Skyfall is the only movie she doesn't get referenced in. But, all right, number 2, I got Pam Bouvier from License to Kill. Now, like I said, I hadn't seen License to Kill up until, like a couple weeks back, and I was shocked by, like, I get introduced to this character, and she's got a shotgun, and she's kind of like, listen, pal, like, I don't need your help. And I'm like, God, another one of these Bond girls. It's like, I'm not going to care for this girl. And then, basically, as soon as that first scene's over, and she jumps in the boat with him, and she starts kissing him, I was like, yeah, whatever, typical stuff. After that, I loved her character. I love how she gets jealous when, like, that other girl is basically like, James was with me last night, and the girl's like, oh, get out of here. And at the end, she thinks that that Sanchez's ex-girlfriend is going to be the one that, like, gets James, and James is like, look, she may have kissed me, but, like, I'm going for you. I like how she works with James, like does stuff with him, because I think she's CIA. I don't remember exactly, but I like how she helps him. I love where he's like, if you're going to pose as my secretary, because she kept wanting to help. And he's like, if you're going to help, pose as my secretary, go get yourself some new clothes. And then she comes in with that short haircut. And I've listened to Calvin Dyson and David from the Bond Experience talk about it. And he says it. And he's like, I'm not normally a guy for girls with short hair. But he's like, but she pulls it off. And yes, she does pull it off. She looks sexy as hell. And I like where she's like, I came all the way from Wichita Falls. Like, he'd kill me if he didn't get this money. The guy's like, all right, you can go in. She just got a lot of good moments, but I love her charm when she's like taking the drink and she's like shaken, not stirred, not stirred. Or she's like shaken, not stirred. I like all that stuff. I think I wrote down the girl's name, but I forgot. Carrie Lowell, I think, is the actress that played her. Once again, kind of unexpected. That's another reason why License to Kill ranks highly for me, and I didn't know if it would. But you got a great villain, you got a great Bond girl, and Timothy Dalton does a good job in that role. So yeah, she's my number 2. It's just these top 2 Bond girls are girls that I'm like, yeah, I would do whatever it takes to marry this girl. Not like I can't wait to get in your pants. I mean, yes, there's that, but I would actually be like, I want to marry you, because like they're that great of like girls where I'm like, yeah, I'm attracted to your personality as much as your looks. Okay, my number 1. If you're a Bond fan, you've noticed there's one movie I didn't mention, and there's one girl I didn't mention: Jane Seymour, Solitaire, Live and Let Die. I grew up watching Live and Let Die a lot. It was the Roger Moore movie that I watched over and over and over again. That might be part of it. Another part of it might just be Jane Seymour is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She's 72 right now. She's still beautiful. So I think she has incredible genetics. So that's one thing. And I loved her character in this. It doesn't have the depth that Vesper does, and I get all that. But like, what I love about her character is she's this innocent girl. She has a cool job. The tarot card reading, I think, is really cool. But she's innocent. She's a virgin, all this kind of stuff. And how James, takes one card, and it's like, oh, lovers, like, that's what we're destined to be. As he's getting dragged out, he's like, don't worry, like, I'll be back. And she kind of like looks like, okay, the cards don't lie. Like, I guess we are going to be lovers. But it shocks her because she kind of knows what that means, that her powers are going to go away and her life's going to change. And then when he comes back to the island, and I think she's in bed, and he like goes into her, like, he goes into her thing that's attached to the chair, her little like gown, or it's not a gown, but it's like I don't know what you would call it, like an outfit. And he's just in his suit and he's playing with the cards. She's like, don't play with those. They won't give you anything. And he's like, fine, pick a card. And she picks a card, and it's like lovers. And then he like is kissing her, throws the deck away, and you see it's nothing but lovers cards. I loved all that touch of getting her. But once she's there, I do like how, she's down to, do stuff with James. I just, like I said, Jane Seymour, I know she's not perfect, but she's this girl that, hasn't had a whole lot of sexual experience at all. And then once they're on the train, she's like, do we have time for one more lesson? I'm sorry, Jane Seymour, she's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. So my number 1 Bond girl goes to Solitaire. That's it for my rankings. Let me know what you guys thought. I'd love to see your comments below, what you thought. And yeah, let me know if I'm wrong, or if you like one of the Bond girls I put at the top, let me know if I'm right. But anyway, that's it for me. Have a good one, guys.